Okay, we are now officially recording. Welcome everybody to Coffee with Bernie as we are live streaming in North Myrtle Beach with the Design and Build Conference. So everybody there at the conference, thank you for joining us here with our coffee chat. And you know, it's okay to shout and yell and let us know you're there. North Myrtle Beach, are you there? Yeah, we're not hearing you yet, Steve.
Yeah, I don't know if you could hear them, but I've got the microphone ready to run around to get everybody involved.
Okay.
You might be able to barely see them. You can enlarge that one screen there.
Yeah. No, I was waiting for everybody to stand up and shout and yell and hoop and haul and all that.
All right, everybody.
That's okay.
Stand up and yell.
There we go. Yes. All right. Good morning, everybody. Okay, before we get started here, I do have a disclaimer I need to read because we are going to be presenting this on YouTube. So I have something I need to read here. First, this meeting is being recorded to share our discussion on our YouTube channel, allowing those who couldn't join us today to benefit from our conversation. By participating in this meeting, you consent to being recorded and for the recording to be shared publicly. Please avoid sharing any personal or sensitive information that you wouldn't want to be publicly accessible. If you don't wish to be recorded or have your comments included in the video, let us know now or feel free to switch off your camera and participate via chat only. Secondly, as professionals in the same industry, it's crucial to remember our obligations under antitrust laws. These laws exist to promote fair competition and prohibit practices that restrain trade. During our discussion today, please avoid topics that could infringe these laws, such as price fixing, market division, or any other anti-competitive behaviors. Your understanding and cooperation are greatly appreciated. Now let's move on to our roundtable discussion. So welcome everybody to today's AIBD Coffee with Bernie, and welcome to all of you in the audience streaming live from North Myrtle Beach. And as we typically do, starting off our coffee chat, I know we can barely see you guys in Myrtle Beach. For those of you on screen, if you don't mind sharing your coffee mug for the morning, I'm using our last year's Nashville conference coffee cup. Oh, I see we have a Denver cup. Cool.
Yep, I got my 2016 Denver conference.
Cool. All right. Bonnie makes the best coffee. Okay, well, last month our series was on, we talked about leadership and professional development with the topic on team management. We're kind of continuing on with that same theme. Today, what I want to talk about is continuing education and skill development. And I'm so glad that we have this topic today because we have our Design and Build conference live on our program also. So that's really convenient to be talking about that, continuing education and skill development. I'm going to start off, I'm going to cut and paste my first question here that I want us to talk about. And bear with me for just a minute. I'm going to put this in the chat box and then I'll say it out loud for those that don't have access to the chat box. Okay, so please share with us one skill that you have learned in this past year and how that skill has helped you professionally. So I'll repeat that. Please share with us one skill that you have learned in this past year and how that skill has helped you professionally. And if you're on video, please feel free to comment on that. If you have access to a chat box, you're certainly welcome to put that in the chat box, what your answer would be to that. And let's move on with discussion here. And I'll get it kicked off here and start. My answer to this, the one skill thing that really has made the biggest impact with me professionally this past year is using AI. And the reason why I say that is because when I was first getting involved with AI, artificial intelligence, and writing articles and things like that, I was super skeptical about doing that. I didn't feel comfortable. I was concerned about this isn't really coming from me. This is coming from somewhere else, from something else. And I didn't like it at all. I tried it out one time on an email that I had to write, and an email that probably would have taken me more than half a day to write took me about half hour, 45 minutes, and I was pretty hooked at that point. And the reason why is because, I mean, I don't take this AI, I don't take it word for word, whatever I get. It allows me to have something to start with, and then I kind of go through and refine it. But it really helps me and saves me a lot of time, because I don't know if you guys have this, but there's days that I'm literally handling emails 3/4 of my day, and I can't seem to get into doing design work, which is really where I'm being paid to do, is in that design work. So I've been able to narrow down my emails to within an hour a day, and that is super huge for me. So that has been my biggest skill development over this past year that has really impacted me professionally. Yeah, Patricia, go ahead. Patricia, you're on mute.
Yeah, Bernie, let me jump in real quick and just let everybody know that if you don't mute yourself, we're going to mute you for you. So always remember to unmute yourself.
Mom, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, sorry. I tried this from Google. I received an invitation to use BARD, B-A-R-D, which is an AI initiative by Google. And I did use it for paragraph writing and emails and things like that. And it was nice. It's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also been playing with the Hoska. I don't know how to pronounce the guys that are presenting today for the renderings, for AI renderings, and been playing with that, and it's been engaged. It got me. I want it.
Yeah. Were you like me though, Patricia? Were you kind of nervous at first about using something like that, or wondering, if is this the right thing to do?
Yeah, there is a shred of doubt in my mind that where's this going? Is this going to be taking over my life or my computer or all my information? But I don't know. I'm kind of I want something that makes my life easier.
Yeah. So far, what I've been able to see on it is pretty harmless. I mean, and I can use it. I can go in, I can edit, I can change it. I mean, and so many times it's different by the time I'm done with it, but it's giving me something to start with.
Yeah. And actually, when you start typing an email and they said, well, we need these changes and this and that, and then you lose track.
Yeah.
So I just put the list of things that I want to say, and then it does it for me. It's fantastic.
Yeah. That's what's happened to me, Patricia. So an email that I could easily spend a half a day on is down to inside an hour.
Because you go back and forth with files, and you got, you want the information to be accurate on the email because it's in writing. Mm-hmm. They will always have it. So it helps a lot. I don't know. It's early to tell whether it's dangerous or not. We'll find out.
Yeah.
If there's no money in my bank account, then oops.
Oh, yeah. I hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Okay. What about anybody else? What kind of skill development have you learned in this past year that has impacted you professionally?
Not much.
Well, yeah.
Like only 2 months. 2.5 months.
Yeah. I think Larry's got something. And we might have someone in the audience too.
There was one coffee where we talked about being prepared for a plan review, and it was so mellow, but it brought me right back down to earth. As whenever you go to, at least when you go to plan review in Austin, you are not going to pass the first time. So, what I got was be prepared with every comment, join the ICC, and just be nice. Okay.
Good.
Plan review have always been a foe, and so I walk in with my armor. So I laid my sword and shield down and walked in without it and have done quite well. So thank you. That's what I learned.
That's good advice. Thank you. Be nice. Love it. Okay, Lyle, before we do that, I think someone is standing up in the audience and they've been standing up for a little bit. So I want to be sure that we have somebody waving their hand there. So go ahead whenever you're ready. We're not hearing anything on our end. Yeah, no mic yet.
All right, here we go. Can you hear me, Bernie?
Yeah, well, I can hear you on my headphones, but you might be coming in a little bit light to everybody else on virtually. So speak up if you can. And you're way off in the distance, but is that you, Dennis?
It's me. Yes.
All right. Yeah.
So I just wanted to say that the skill that I learned this year was social media administration, and the amount of work that it takes to host, to admin a large group of design professionals who are extremely active. It's been a skill that is going into my business and going into my time here in the AIBD. It's really helping me to create a vision of where I want to see this industry go and where I want to try to take it, and how to help not just my group but the AIBD get there. The skill has trickled down into actually being able to administrate in my own office, not just myself, but now my son who's working with me. So it's been a great thing, and I'm using a lot of AI to do it. I use Chat GPT to help me with things. My son actually is using it, and so I'm learning those skills. Those are the big skills that I've been learning for the year.
That's great, Dennis. Thank you for sharing that. And we can attest from a lot of involvements that we see you working on and stuff that it's really working for you. Anybody else? Something you'd like to share? Okay, I'm going to move on to the next question here. Let me grab it from my notes here. And this is going to be a question about continuous learning, getting CEs. So give me just a minute. I want to get it in the chat box here. There we go. So the question is, how does continuous learning and skill development contribute to your professional growth? So what I'm getting at here is about continuing education. How important do you feel it is? Should our industry be providing it? Is it important to you? Do you feel it's important for residential design, for a residential design career? For those of you that have offices with people working in your office, do you encourage your team members to get continuing education and things like that? And one other item I want to bring up about that too, that I'd like to share with you. Some of you may remember that at a professional level of AIBD, we used to require CEs for all members. And we did away with that, and only certified members are required to get CEs. So in this topic about continuing education, what is your feelings about that? What are your thoughts about that? Do you feel like all members should be required to get CEs, or just keep it at the certified level? And not doing this to create any kind of issue or anything like that, but if we start to see a unanimous opinion from our members on which way we should go, that's something that should be brought before the board. So, Donnie, I'd like to start with you. You got your hand up.
Well, and I was kind of thinking, this is similar to what you asked before, but I didn't really feel like it was a skill. But, just recently I'm working on a project and was able to bring in, I guess this past year we did one of our chapter meetings, we did for continuing education. We did a presentation from Acme Brick. Of course, they were teaching us about how to keep water out of your wall assemblies and the dangers that they've seen, of course, on their inspections of disasters and so forth. And I was able to take that information. That's something I didn't know before, particularly about thin brick, how thin brick works, how it's made, how it's installed. And was able to actually take that information just yesterday to a client and say, hey, we need to apply thin brick to your project. And as they resisted, I was able to say, no, actually, here's how it's made, here's how it's done. So, I mean, as chapter chairs and so forth, as we bring things to our chapters and, and as our members attend, I think, yeah, we should be bringing some value added information. And that's an example, for me anyways, of literally how I took, information I learned at a chapter meeting and applied it directly to a client.
Great. Yeah. So there's always something new coming up, some new product, some new way to do things, a code change that may affect the way we used to do things. So without continuing education, you'll probably find out these things the hard way, right? Yeah. Michael. Oh, I'm sorry. Michael, let me back up. I forgot about Lyle. He had a question earlier. Go ahead, Lyle.
Well, that's okay. I'll address this particular question. In my opinion, continuing education is essential to any kind of a creative enterprise. I don't know how you can move forward being creative without knowing what's going on in the world and what things are going to impact what it is you do. I have a 4-year college degree, a Bachelor of Fine Arts, and I've often had people say, well, what's the value of that? And if I have to narrow it down to one thing, it is that getting a 4-year degree essentially taught me or gave me the tools to continue to teach myself for the rest of my life. And yeah. I'm an avid reader. I think the more you read, the more you have a hunger for reading. And it can take you in a lot of different directions. But, I'm very much interested in reading about architecture and, different periods of architecture. I think education is essential no matter what you're doing. As far as the certification, I understand why the certification or the education requirement was dropped for non-certified members. I think it's kind of unfortunate because I think they would benefit. Professional members would benefit the same as certified members by being required to constantly learn. But I understand why that was dropped.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Lyle. And that comment you made about that you like to read, and I like to read too. So be sure and hang on to our coffee chat here today, because in the second half here of our coffee chat, I'll have a question for you about reading books. Okay. Okay. Cool. I wasn't sure who had their hand up first, Michael or Audrey. Audrey. Oh, Michael. Okay, Michael, go ahead.
Continuing education. I'm in one of those classifications of AIBD that I'm a professional member, not certified. I am not required to get continuing ed credits. I was a member before they dropped that, which was, I found it was not difficult to get continuing ed credits. The purpose of continuing education, in my opinion, is that you can be drawing pictures all day long. And I know that's not really what we do, but we design buildings, we design houses, we design details, we have all those things, but there's new technology in products, there's new technology in methods, there's new technology for technology. If I were to add up how many continuing ed credits I would have been able to submit for approvals in this past year, it would probably be someplace about 50, because it's not hard to do.
Yeah.
Participate in things, you go to meetings, you go to code hearings, you go to different things, you participate in these things. It's not a difficult thing to do, but it helps my business that I know what I'm doing. When I talk to a contractor and I put a detail on or call out a product and they go, what is that? How do we do that? I know how it works. Continuing education, I haven't done a number of the continuing ed programs that are out there that would help more, but it's a benefit that anybody should go after. It's so easy to get the information and get the continuing ed credits.
Yeah.
This continuing education itself, doesn't stop just because you're earning a paycheck and turning out blueprints. It doesn't stop. It shouldn't stop at that point.
Yeah. Great. Thank you, Michael. Yeah, Audrey, go ahead.
Oh, quick digression. In that first question you had, it really made me realize how much of my continuing ed and the stuff that I've learned have been more just in the field and not so much the professional development of skills in the business. And the whole AI stuff really brought to the forefront the thought of, am I becoming a fossil in this industry, drafting in 2D, even though it's on the computer, but it's 2D. It's, it's that you've really got to jump in and get over that initial hurdle and start using these skills to keep relevant.
Yeah.
But continuing ed, of course, is critical to development, but requiring it, and I keep flip-flopping on this, but I'm of the thought that requiring it isn't so beneficial necessarily, because those who care are going to do it, right? They're going to learn it. Those who don't will find a way to take something that really is easy, but may not give them what you are trying to give them through that requirement. And so I've never been a big fan of that, but it is absolutely critical.
Yeah, that's good. I really appreciate you sharing that, Audrey. Thank you. Michael? Yeah, Michael, and then we're going to go to you, Patricia, if that's okay. But Michael had his hand up.
Okay.
Or I'm sorry, not Michael. Steve, you had your hand up first.
Thanks, Bernie. We got somebody in the audience.
Okay.
Hi, Craig Mars. I think as an AIBD professional that having the continued education for that particular aspect would be paramount in the industry for the building officials to see that we are separated. It's not just a club, even though I know that you can get the certification too, but I think that being a professional member of the AIBD, also having that continuing education to where it makes us stand apart, it would help really show that we're more than just an organization like a home builders club or something, that it actually gives credibility to the tag that we put on our plans that say I'm an AIBD professional.
Yeah, very good. And I'm sorry, if you can grab the mic again, please. I wanted to ask. Okay. There you go. Thank you. I didn't catch your name, please. Could you repeat that again?
Craig Mars.
Oh, Craig. Okay. Thank you very much, Craig, for sharing that and sharing your input on that. I really do appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Okay, Patricia.
Yeah, I have a thought that we have to constantly evolve. We can't just not evolve. We have to keep up. It's not easy, and you have to read a lot, study a lot, and do these things a lot to be in touch with what's best and make our lives easier in the end. It makes your life easier, your profession easier, and you're up to par with what's people want, and better quality work and more conscientious. I agree with Lyle. Education, it's important.
Yeah.
If you're a professional, you have to give up opportunities to everybody. The person that doesn't want to take the exam or want to, get registered, get certified, but the ones that do should have some sort of like a prize for doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's an effort that pays.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. That's
Yeah.
it.
Good. Okay. Lyle, before we go, Audrey, is that a new hand up or is that from before?
Yeah, that was just a quick writer on that. I think part of your question, when you verbally stated it, was should it be required and should it be provided? And I think as an organization, it's critical to provide as many opportunities as we can to encourage that and to really make sure we're we're contributing to the growth and continuing improvement of our trade.
Yeah, good. Thank you. And then we're going to do one more question here on this topic here. Lyle, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I wanted to reflect on what Craig was saying about the appearance of professionalism. A number of years ago, in the state of Florida, we operate under an exemption to the architect and engineers laws, which allow us to do single-family home, duplex, and townhouse. And in Florida, we operate under a sunset system where every 10 years the laws are reviewed and either continued or deleted. And I remember attending with a number of our members here in Florida the legislative session in Tallahassee, at which we were in a staff meeting, and the staff member asked what our accreditation was, and I said, well, I personally have a college degree, but I said most of our members are required to get continuing education, which really piqued their interest. And the woman turned and asked an architect in the crowd if they felt continuing education was important, and his answer was no. At the time, AIA did not require continuing education. And that single statement was what kept our exemption in place back then. So the appearance of professionalism is greatly bolstered by the fact that we do require continuing education.
Okay. Great. Good. Yeah. Kevin, we got just time for one more, so go ahead with yours. Yeah, you're muted there right now.
Okay.
There you go.
Getting back to what Craig and Lyle said about pairing and professionalism, something that I did a couple of years ago, and I don't know if it's available in other states. I live in a very small state, and I joined the state building inspectors committee or club or group, and I attend their monthly meetings, and it's building inspectors from all over the state. They get together once a month, they talk about code, they have classes, and all the building inspectors need to take the continuing ed, and they bring in people from the building trades and from supply trades, and they learn about new techniques and new construction and code upgrades. So I found rubbing elbows with all these building inspectors. Again, I live in a small state, so we probably have, I forget how many cities and towns we have, maybe 20. So, you get in a group with 20 guys, and they're the 20 building inspectors from across the state, as well as their people that work with them. So again, I feel like getting that professionalism, and I don't know if it's available in other states for anybody else to look into, but it's a great opportunity, again, to rub elbows with the building officials, and it gives you credibility that you're sitting there with them and they take you serious when you walk into their office and you have a problem, because they say, hey, we see this guy at the meetings all the time. He's engaged in what he's doing.
Yeah. Very good. And that's true. I've experienced that myself, Kevin. And just as a testament to promoting CEs, or at least continuing education anyway, is just all of us here today. Those on the coffee chat, those in the North Myrtle Beach conference. That to me is a testament that taking time to get educated on what's going on in our industry is important to all of us.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. All right. What I'd like to do at this point here, are we going to do a coffee mug giveaway, Raven?
Steve and Garrett, are we still doing the giveaways today?
I was not prepared for this.
I heard that, Garrett. That's okay. We can make up for it next month, right? We can do a double next month.
Hold on.
Please do. I don't have one.
Hold on. We're going to do it.
It's been very busy morning here, Bernie. I sent him a ping with the list, but we haven't had an opportunity to go over it yet. So
okay. Is it something you want to do today, or do you want to move it to next month?
No, we can be ready for it. Just give us a little more time.
Okay. All right. Well,
I can go ahead and read over the information and the speech while they're getting it pulled up and show the mugs. So the giveaway that we're doing, guys, is to get one of the AIBD coffee mugs here. Here it is.
Mhm.
And we're giving away these exclusive AIBD mugs. They're not available in store or online. The only way to get one is to be part of our amazing community and renew your membership on time. So this drawing is going to be for the memberships that renewed over the last month, and we'll be spinning the wheel to find 3 lucky winners today.
I want one.
All right.
So here we go.
Are you ready?
Let's do
Can you
our
see it?
first one. Okay. Congrats, Keith Kesson. It's our first one.
I'm not on the wheel.
John. Okay, congrats, John. And then we have one more.
Oh, so close. Ryan.
Ryan. All right. So for all of the winners, I'll be reaching out to you all individually with the information about your coffee mugs. And congratulations, guys.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you, Raven. Oh, Audrey's got one. Man, I can't wait until I'm able to do that on screen. Golly. Raven, before you go, Patricia was saying she's not on the list. Can you share with us again, how do we get on the list?
This is going to be for everyone that renewed over the last month. So every month that we do this is for renewals of people that renewed their membership for the previous month. So everyone that was that their membership renewed is going to be on that list each time. Yeah.
One more thing. Happy Women's Day.
Yeah. Happy Women's Day, everyone.
All right. Cool.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on here to the second half of our coffee chat. If you've been kind of watching the emails and notices about our coffee chat, you've probably seen this code number 115313030. And you're probably wondering, what the heck is that all about? It's a formula. It's a formula to master your skills that I've learned from Darren Hardy, and actually I was introduced to that by Steve Mickley. So it's a way to master your skills by following this formula. And so we're going to kind of go through this detail by detail. And for those that are in the audience, if you're not able to see the chat box or such, I'd like to, if you get your pen and paper out, you might want to write these numbers down.
Okay.
Starting in the left-hand column, write the number 1. Underneath that, write another 1. Write the number 5, 3, 1, 30, 30. So entirely on the left-hand column, you should have 1, 1, 5, 3, 1, 30, 30. And next to those numbers, you want to write down these statements. For the first number 1, you want to write down number 1 goal for the next quarter. Underneath that, next to a number 1, what is the one skill that will help accomplish that goal? Underneath that, you'll have the number 5. Your comment is to read 5 books that teach how to master that skill.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, underneath number 5 is listen to 3 audio programs. Under the 3, you should have a number 1, go to 1 seminar on the topic. And then for the first 30, you want to read for 30 minutes each day. And the next 30, listen to the instructional audio for 30 minutes each day. This is just a formula. I mean, you can kind of modify it how it fits you better, but this is a formula that was taught to me by Darren Hardy. And it is a great way to master a skill on a topic. And I would like to hear your guys' thoughts on any one of these comments and what you might think that you would be able to do, or what you would consider doing, or maybe advise somebody else to do. And I'm going to kind of jump into one of the things here. It has to do with the 5 books, because this is one that I really took from this formula that I use quite a bit, and I'm going to share something with you guys here on screen. But typically, I have 5 books that I pick that I would reread each year, and sometimes a year will go, another year will go by, and I might replace that with another book. But I want to share with you those 5 books that I have sitting on my right hand here that I'll put up on screen. And the first book that I like to reread each year is called, this is from Darren Hardy. It's called The Compound Effect. And I really enjoy this book. And even though I've read it a number of times, every time I reread it, I always pick up something new out of it each time. In fact, I even gone to the point of using an audio when I listen to that book. The next book I want to share with you, this is one that I've just kind of inserted this year. I've read it before. It was on my top 5 before, but I haven't read it for a couple of years. And I wanted to get back into reading it. But it's a book by Chuck Blakeman called Making Money is Killing Your Business. And the premises behind that is how to build a business that you'll love and have a life too. A very good book if you don't have it or are interested in taking a look at it, by Chuck Blakeman, Making Money is Killing Your Business. And this one's, my wife gave me this one. She picked it up at Barnes & Noble, and this is another new one that I've added this year. And it's more of on a spiritual level, but I really find it very handy each day. It's written by Sarah Young. It's called Jesus Calling. And the book is set up on a calendar. So each day there's some scriptural advice on taking hold of my day for that day. So it's a yearly book to read. I really like it. The next one, I'm going to save the 5th one for last because I want to talk a little bit more about that. But the next one, this one's a little bit fun. Some of you may have seen it before. It's a children's book. It's called Young Frank Architect by Frank Viva. And I have 13 grandkids. And many of those grandkids, what I like to do is on a birthday is purchase this as a gift for them. And sometimes I'll even put in a little bit of my own personal sketches inside the children's book. But I wanted to read one little section of this book here to you. What the story is about. Young Frank he's a young child, and he wants to be an architect, and his grandfather is an architect. His grandfather is named Frank also. And he goes on an outing with his grandfather, and the grandfather has old ways of doing architecture, like me. And the young Frank, he goes out there and he starts doing these really creative things with architecture wherever they go, in the park or in a museum or whatever. And it teaches the old Frank that, oh, I could learn new things, new ideas and new ways to do things, while young Frank is also learning from old Frank on how to look at architecture from his perspective as well. So in this part of the book, it says, they also saw a giant model of a whole city designed by another architect named Frank. Are all architects named Frank? Asked young Frank. I don't think so, said old Frank. And the reason why I wanted to read that is because the next book that I want to show you is a book that I'm reading called The Life and Work of Frank Gehry. So we have another Frank. Some of you may have heard of this guy. This was just, I've known of Frank Gehry, and I known of his architecture. He has some really unique types of architecture in the commercial field. And my mentor and friend Larry Gillen shared something with me that has to do with why I'm bringing this up with this 115-31-30-30 program. One of the things that I did with this is I wanted to improve my sketching skills. I didn't feel like I was doing very good at sketching. And what the short story behind that is, what I learned about that is sketching is personal. You can't be wrong at sketching. Whatever you do at sketching, that's your style. Yeah. And that's what I'm learning from Frank Gehry, because if you know about him, if you can see the scribbly marks on this book, that's Mr. Gehry's technique for sketching. I mean, it looks like a 2-year-old got a hold of the book and just scribbled all over it. That's his way of scribbling. And I'm going to share a picture with you to show you how that worked for him. So in reading this, I've been learning that sketching is personal, and you just can't be wrong at it. But it was something that I wanted to master a skill at, to get better at. I have a lot of people that I admire and how they are able to do sketching in front of clients. We know of Wayne Bisbeen and how he's able to do that in front of clients. Larry Gillen, my friend, I've seen him sketch in front of clients and do it right on the spot. I'm more of a guy that is, okay, tell me what you're thinking about, leave me alone. I'm going to go sketch it, and then I'll come back with you and show you what I got. That's pretty much the way I've done it. But I also want to share too that I've been able to sit down at a table with Steve Mickley, and I've noticed that Steve Mickley is very good at sketching on the fly while you're sitting down with him. So there's a lot of people that can do it. I wanted to get better at it, and I've learned from that it is what it is, and I have my own personal touch at sketching. So I'm going to try and share screen here. See if I can do it. Yeah. Actually, I probably should let me open up the photo first and see if I can do it that way. Because I have about 7 I want to show you. One of them is the one that Larry Gillen had given to me. Okay, let me go back to the share screen here. There we go. And if you can help me by letting me know if you see this. Are you guys able to see this building here? It's a Walt Disney concert hall. Are you able to see it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, because I can't see you guys right now. I have this on my screen. So
good.
this is, sorry, go ahead.
No, I said it's good. I can see it well.
Okay, thanks, Patricia. Darn it, I was hoping I would be able to just scroll to the next picture, but it doesn't look like it's going to let me do it. So let me try a little differently, but keep this in mind. This is the Walt Disney Concert Hall, and the next picture is going to be the same thing, but what we're going to see is Frank Gehry's sketch over the top of that, and Larry Gillen had shared this with me, and what he did is he showed me that Frank Gehry sketch, and he superimposed it over this building, so you can kind of see where he was thinking of when he did the sketches. Okay, now you should be able to see it. And if you're, I hope you guys there in Myrtle Beach can see this, but if you look at the picture there, you can see what looks like a bunch of scribbling. Well, Larry had shared this with me, and that was Frank Gehry's initial sketch of the building. And then you can see the final product of the building behind the sketch. Pretty wild, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. And I want to try one more thing, because I'd like to just show you just a couple more of Frank Gehry's work. That's pretty incredible to look at. What I'm going to try and do is open up my Explorer tab. And then when I pick a picture, let me know if you're able to see the picture. Doesn't look like it's coming up. Okay, I'm going to do this one at a time. Bear with me. This is the Guggenheim Museum in Bilbao, Spain. I'll be bringing that up here in just a minute. I have no idea what this thing is here in the middle. If someone knows what that is, put it in the chat box. And let me just kind of, for the sake of time, let me just kind of bring up one more here.
Mm-hmm.
And this building here. Pretty bizarre architecture, right? Yeah, I can't imagine what that's like drawing something like that. So anyway, very interesting. It's a book that I'm reading. It's called The Life and Work of Frank Gehry by Paul Goldberger. And thank you, Larry, for introducing that idea about sketches. Okay, so what have you guys got? Have you had a chance to look at this 115-31-30-30 personal plan development? Is there something that you personally would like to take on, whether you use this formula or not? I'm not asking you to commit to that, but something that you would like to master your skill on. Yeah, Larry.
Well, almost every one of them had reading involved. I'm dyslexic and I can read, but I don't enjoy it. So I'm a YouTuber. Now, not everything on YouTube is good, but if you go through enough of them, you're going to find the right one. So I get a great deal of education from YouTube. I think that people like to see things instead of read things. That's me. It might not be everybody else. So I just wanted to share that there is a lot of information on YouTube, but not everything on there is correct. You need to search through a variety of them, and I'm sorry that I don't read books except the ones I'm required to read. Okay?
Yeah, Larry, don't feel sorry about that. And I'm glad you said that, because it reminded me that I wanted to talk to Lyle about that too, because I'm like Lyle. I like to read a lot of books and everything, but I want to make a point that, and it's not about how many books you have in your library or anything like that. It's about what you learn in your mind and what you see and what inspires you to do with what you see, and however way you may learn it, Larry, whether it's YouTube where you walk outside and you see it, or whether you read a book. So I wanted to ask Lyle, about that. Does he have any input about that? And what are you currently reading right now, Lyle?
Yeah, I'm glad that it was mentioned about dyslexia, because I think everybody has a certain level of dyslexia. And I know in elementary school, I was considered a slow reader. And because of that, I didn't like to read. I felt like I was inferior in some way. But what I've come to realize is that people read in different ways. When I'm not a speed reader, when I read slowly, and I may review a page 2 or 3 times in order to absorb it. But I paint these mental pictures of what I'm reading. So as a result, I think I tend to retain things longer than people who just skim through a book. I started reading, one of my favorite authors is David McCullough. And he does exhausting research on everything that he writes about. Unfortunately, we lost him this last year, but I've read every one of his books. And the first book I read was called The Great Bridge. It was the building of the Brooklyn Bridge between Manhattan and Brooklyn. And I got so engrossed in that book that I couldn't stop reading his books. And as a result, I read every one of them. And it really opened up a whole new world for me of reading and realizing how so many things are interconnected. That, the building of the Brooklyn Bridge had a lot to do with the building of the Eads Bridge across the Mississippi River in St. Louis. It was built before the Brooklyn Bridge, and they learned a lot of things about structure and what could or couldn't be done. But I just think, as you read, you realize Steve has talked about the 6 degrees of separation a number of times, and I think that's truly involved, that everything is somehow connected to something else. What I'm currently reading about is I'm designing a modern house for a client on Clearwater Beach, and I've been delving into. I had an opportunity which I passed on. Unfortunately, I didn't understand, but when I was a kid, my mother asked me if I wanted to go to the Cranbrook Institute, and I didn't know what it was, and I knew that it was a boarding school, so I really wasn't interested, and I've kicked myself ever since. The Cranbrook Institute is in Bloomfield Hills outside of Detroit. It was founded by the publisher of the Detroit News, who wanted to give back to the community by building this arts colony. It was an arts and architecture institute in Bloomfield Hills called Cranbrook. And I've been reading, I just received 4 new books this last week on people that attended Cranbrook. And, they're some of the most influential people of the 20th century. And the nexus of all of them was Cranbrook Institute. So you can't read about one. Harry Bertollia is one who was not only an artist, but an architect and a painter as well. And they all designed furniture. Ray and Charles Eames Charles Eames was a professor at Cranbrook. Ray was a student of his, but ended up marrying him at another point. They were invited to come to Los Angeles to do the case study houses. And that also involved Eero Saarinen. Eliel Saarinen was Eero Saarinen's father. He was the first the director of the Cranbrook Institute. So I've been delving into that, and it's taken me in so many directions because that Cranbrook was a nexus for so many important 20th century artists.
Cool. Wow, Lyle. Thank you. I'm going to check out that book. And yeah, Steve, go ahead.
Yeah, we're going to have to leave you soon. I know how you guys can go on all morning, but I just want to see that 1-1-3-5-1-30-30 plan. It seems intimidating, but if you can just do half of it, you will learn something. Trust me.
Yeah.
So we've got Jenny Pippin in the room that has a comment, and then we will bid you goodbye.
Okay.
Good morning, Bernie.
Hi, good morning, Jenny. So great to see you, but you're so small right now.
Yeah, I just wanted to say one of the books that was recommended to me this year that's been a big help in me trying to do so many things and taking some things off my plate is a book called Who Not How, written by Dan Sullivan. It's an awesome book, and I got it on Audible because I don't really have time to sit around and read, and I love to read. But because I'm on the road a lot, I was able to listen to it in just a day and a half and got some great insights from it. So it's Who Not How by Dan Sullivan.
Who Not How by Dan Sullivan. Okay, cool. Well, thanks, Jenny. I'm going to take a look at that. Thank you so much for sharing that. Okay, everybody, we are at the end of our chapter, or excuse me, end of our coffee chat. I'm so used to attending chapter meetings. So our next coffee chat is going to be April 12th, the second Friday, same channel, same time. We're going to begin a new quarter with a new theme, expanding your business and impact. And until then, thank you for being a part of Coffee with Bernie, and keep learning, keep growing. Remember, the world is your classroom. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Bernie. Have a good day, guys.
Okay.
Thank you, Bernie.
Hey, Bernie, could you stay 1 minute? I have a question.
Yes, Kevin.
All right. I remember we talked earlier a couple months ago about trying to get some members up in the Northeast.
Yes.
You said you wanted to help me with that.
Yes.
I was wondering, does AIBD have some sort of pamphlet fold-out, something I can use as a tool?
Yes.
Like help me help you?
Yes.
More or less, I can visit some designers or some architects, something
Yes.
brief that says maybe, this is what we do, we advocate, nothing really that long. So
Yeah.
I can make a quick presentation to see if I can gain some membership out here and then maybe start a chapter.
Yeah, absolutely. I can absolutely help you with that, Kevin. I'm glad you're reaching out to me to do that too. Do you have my email address? Can you just pop me an email and remind me that, and then I'll send you some information. It's really simple, Kevin. It's not hard. It's not overloaded with data or anything like that. There will be a very simple way of getting a chapter started. And you say you're in the Northeast. We do have a couple chapters up there. I'll let you know what those chapters are too.
Yeah, I think there's one up in Portland, New Hampshire, or
Yeah.
Portsmouth, New Hampshire. It's a good couple hours for me.
Yeah, yeah. So we definitely want to get something in your area if we're able
Southern
to
New
get
England.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Rhode
can
Island,
also,
Massachusetts.
yeah, I'll communicate with you, and I'll get your address, and I can kind of let you know what members are in your area as well.
Okay. Yeah, could reach out to them and maybe reactivate them somehow.
Okay.
Get them re-engaged. Okay, great.
Cool. Thank you.
Thanks. Have a great weekend.
You too. Thank you. Yeah. Hi, Larry. Yeah, you're muted. Not yet. Yeah. You'll find it. Well, I can't hear you. I'm worried, Larry, that they may. Oh, there you go. I see you unmuted now.
Yes. You said you could get some of those books, audio books, correct?
Some of them are audio. Yeah.
Well, my daughter gave me like an audio subscription, but
Uh-huh.
I didn't want to hear, Gone with the Wind. If I'm going to hear or read anything, it's going to be technical. So
Yeah.
if there's some book like, let's see, what'd you say, Crown Town, then I'd like to get it.
Okay. All right. I'll send that over to you. Okay. There's do you use apps at all on your phone?
Yes.
You familiar? Okay. There is an app on getting audio books on your phone. And what I did when I went to Nashville last summer, I loaded up a couple of audio books I wanted to listen to while I drove to Nashville from Colorado. And that was really neat too. So I was able to use that app, hook it up to my car, and just listen to an audio book that way.
Well, I'm gonna do that to get my books in. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, thanks for joining us today. Appreciate
Thank you.
seeing you. Okay. Bye-bye, everybody. Have a good weekend.